Hey everyone, welcome to the Movie Throne. I'm your host, the one and only King Kansas, and also co-hosting the men of the hour, the men that we are happy to see by the King's side, the Admiral. Admiral,
2 weeks in a row, King.
you're gonna be
back.
He's gonna be shattering records because he's gonna be here for the next 3-4 weeks, possibly. You know,
Week 2, I'm doing it.
Admiral. Anytime we can get you, it's a blessing, my friend.
Thank you.
It's good, because like I said, you know, the King will be totally lost, Admiral, if it wasn't for you, especially when it comes to the world of, the universe known as Star Wars, okay?
That's right.
Not the
Big
world, universe, and especially with this whole Andor. Guys, I'm telling you now, this week's 3 episodes was a doozy for the King. We're reviewing, just in case you guys don't know, Season 2 of Andor, episodes 4, 5, and 6. Don't ask me the titles.
This is not a spoiler-free review.
Don't worry.
So
yeah,
we're gonna talk about it.
Exactly.
All right.
It dropped Tuesday, so you guys had about at least 3 or 4 days to watch it.
A couple hours to watch it, okay?
It felt like an eternity, I'll tell you right now. Admiral, before you start on your thoughts and whatever, I'm going to give my quick overall thoughts, because I want you, because you're going to, relate to a lot of what the fans will know. Me, no clue. Overall thoughts. This week, the 3 episodes for me were kind of a little bit slow for my personal taste. Very informative, and because I'm not familiar with the Star Wars universe, but a lot of the stuff went over the King's head. He's not going to lie. But it was a little bit too much talking for the King. But I did, however, like middle of the 3rd episode, it started to pick up. You saw how, I guess, paranoid people were, anxious that, they want things to go right, and people are like attacking each other a little bit here and there. They're wondering what's going on. They're discovering a lot, and it was good. I like last week's episodes better, but the Admiral has informed me off camera things are going to be picking up. King, relax, don't die on the side, okay? Anyways, Admiral, that's what I had to say. My thoughts, but you're going to hear from a real Star Wars fan, the Admiral. So, Admiral, what did you think of this week's 3 episodes? And you can discuss anything you like, whatever you hated about it. Educate the people on YouTube land, my friend.
Well, first and foremost, for me as a fan, I enjoyed it. I understand where the rhythm might have felt slow and draggy. If you're not completely familiar with a lot of the things, it would be difficult to follow as a new fan. Newbie, yeah. But for me, it was interesting. Much like I had anticipated, I had said last week that I think it was going to revert to the Imperial perspective.
Yes, you're right.
Which it very much did.
100%.
I also had said that I believe that this section of TV shows would start BBY3 or 1 year later.
Yes,
that also happened as well.
He has predicted it, and he did. You could check the tapes. He was telling me, I'm like, he was right. Don't doubt the Admiral. That's all I have to say.
But more than that, more than what I predicted, it was interesting. You're starting to see that things are becoming more intense and more political. We see a lot of the degradation of the characters. You see Andor has become much more paranoid. He's worried about his wife.
Yes, he has.
Bix is having traumatic problems. Yeah. She was tortured by the doctor there in last season, and she's been having nightmares. And him going off on his own and her being left to her own devices. She's taking drugs to calm herself, to be able to sleep.
Self-medicate.
You just see how the characters are changing. Cassian has this desire to be with his wife. He cares for her. And Luthen, who's the Axis, who's the head of the rebellion, he's very robotic. He's very, you need to stay focused on the
methodical,
mission.
You're saying.
It's about the mission. No matter what happens, you guys can die, whatever. Even though he cares, he says he cares.
Yeah.
If they die, they die, right? And he wants Cassian to be focused, and having the attachments we see, like, if you go into Star Wars lore and history, you see what happened with Anakin, with Padme. Fear leads to anger leads to hate leads to suffering, right? Ultimately he did turn to Darth Vader and the dark side because he didn't want to lose his wife. He didn't want to lose what he had.
Exactly.
So I'm wondering if, similarly, if Cassian will have some sort of incident that will test his loyalty to the rebellion, and ultimately I believe that Bix is going to probably die at some point.
I agree with
for
you.
2 reasons. One, because it just seems to be leading that way, and 2, she's not in Rogue One, so I'm assuming she's going to pass away.
So she is.
Point.
We just don't know when and how, right,
and
Admiral?
how, yeah. And I think it's going to, like I was saying to the King off camera, I'm thinking this is going to be something that just converts him into the super agent that he becomes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because Andor is known for being that agent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you know, just seeing like the Imperial perspective of things. You see Mon Mothma and her husband. You know, you see going to these Imperial parties. You know, and her husband was complaining, "I'm tired of these things. These new senators are throwing. When does it end? When do these dinners end? When do we do anything? What's happening?" You see Mon Mothma trying to introduce legislation into the Senate to repeal the prison laws that the Emperor had placed in place. You see at the end of season 1 how Cassian Andor is in the prison with an unjust long prison sentence. Well, that bill that she was trying to pass was trying to repeal that, right? But then you see that when she approaches senators, nobody wants to go against the Emperor.
Denied.
You can see that the Senate is more of just it's a front. You know, it's a rich group of people where they're just going to continue to pass what the Emperor wants, but they're going to be fed, they're going to be taken care of, they're richies, you know, it's a group, it's a club.
A little bit of corruption going on, guys. Let's say that. Corruption. Just a tad, you know, it's the rich club for certain people, and like you said, they don't want change. They want to stick to the Empire and the Empire's way of things, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, and, you know, some urgency was created. We see, like, there's a scene in the Imperial party that they have where they go into an art gallery section with some art that was on display. Yeah. And then you see director Krennic was there. Ben Mendelsohn, the actor from Rogue One, was there. And they were giving an introduction about the artwork and an explanation of the artwork, and you saw, you know, Luthen's assistant was desperately trying to remove a tracking device and a bug out of this fake piece of artwork that's there. So she had Lonnie, who's the mole inside of the ISB. They got an insider, as you guys are aware if you've been watching.
Yep.
Stand in front of me to the left, and he's trying to protect himself and stay out of it because he knows it's going to become dangerous.
That's right.
So it's becoming intense because they're trying to find out what Skulden's up to.
Yes.
Skulden is the father of Mon Mothma's daughter's son. No, Mon Mothma's daughter's husband. Okay. Right? He's their in-laws, the two of them together. Yes. So she wants to know what he's hiding. What's he up to? Because he's very tied with the Empire.
What's his true connection?
What's going on there, you know? And it's very interesting.
Like, the intensity it's there. Like, you feel, that's what I felt from the 3 episodes. It's just like a little bit too much explaining. But like you were saying, Admiral, it's necessary, right?
Because these shows are not necessarily about action and violence.
No.
It's about the espionage and politics of what comes into play behind the scenes that leads to those events, right?
That makes sense.
And that's what's interesting as from a fan perspective, because we all know ultimately where this is going. Right?
Yeah, we know where the end game is, or as they say,
it's the journey to get there. Right?
It's how you're gonna get there.
So we see that, and it's very interesting, you know, and it's just. It's one of those things for me that is satisfying because the writing is good. I understand it's probably boring if you're not really in the universe so much.
For me too, because I'm not into politics, okay? When you politic too much and something, I kind of like tune out. The King's like, okay, do what you gotta say, but you don't have to drag on, and then it takes like years to get where you're supposed to. Like I'm like I want something to be said, and I want something to happen right away. We got to be a little bit more patient, like the Admiral here.
And this is just the thing, and we got to remember that this season is a 4-year arc.
Yes,
right.
That's what I keep on forgetting. I'm old. King's old. Forgive the King.
It's okay. Dye that hair.
I should. I'm looking at my. See,
I'm one to talk. I'm like Santa Claus over.
By the end of this whole series, the King's beard's going to be all white. That's how long it's going to take.
Gandalf. Sorry, copyright.
No, it's not copyright.
No, I know. I'm just.
Don't worry. We watch those movies. We can say whatever we want.
I've seen them so many times. You know, I'm not putting a logo up here.
Don't worry.
I could act in them. I don't know if I'd act very well, but
And he knows Lord of the Rings.
Definitely.
So I'll tell you right now, we got the Admiral for that too. I've watched a little bit. I'm not Mr. like read the books and all that back knowledge. No clue, okay?
Yeah.
But the King has a good enough grasp on that, the knowledge there. Star Wars, I'm getting there thanks to this guy. He's educating the King on and off the screen. Yeah. Okay?
And another thing that you see very interesting is the dynamic that's going on right now with Cyril and with Dedra. And you know, what's happening
what the
on
hell's
Gorman.
Going on?
Well, you know, they've planted Cyril on Gorman in a front job. Like,
yes,
it's a front, guys. He's a spy, just in case you're not picking up on it.
That the King picked up on.
He is set there to infiltrate the Gorman front. So he's already what's his name, Castle Rylars,
that's a good thing.
the head of the Gorman front. He's already infiltrated that. He's building a relationship there. He's allowed the shipment to be stolen according to their plans because they need to feel like they're winning a little bit.
Right.
He needs to get in there and infiltrate them. I'm telling you though, Gorman's going to eat it big time in the next episode. Next 2 episodes.
You think he's going to bite the bullet, or is something going to happen? He's going to be found out.
No, something's going to happen. The Empire's going to come in.
Okay.
And there's going to be a big fight. There's going to be there's action coming.
Okay.
And
Thank God.
Yeah, because I think what's going to end up happening is we're going to see another time jump.
Okay.
And as well, in the old Star Wars Legends material, there is references to the Battle of Gorman. There's something that happens on Gorman where there's a lot of people that are killed.
Okay, so there's a lot of reference to it.
There was something from Legends that was already explained, and that was the Moff Tarkin massacre. Okay. So Grand Moff Tarkin was a governor, and he landed his ship in the middle of that city.
Okay.
On hundreds of people that were protesting.
Yes,
in the square and flattened
I remember them explaining that.
That's in Legends, so they borrowed that.
Is that where they built that tower from? That they built it straight up from it.
They built that monument.
That makes sense now.
So the people are angry about that, obviously.
Okay,
right? But that's in the Legends material as well. So they've taken from Legends from the show. Now there's another Battle of Gorman that takes place in Legends where a lot of people are killed.
Oh wow! So this is what you're expecting.
I'm assuming that it's either going to happen in the next set of shows or a little bit later in the series.
Okay.
But Gorman, make no mistake, they're there for the calcite ore that's in the ground.
They need it, and they're going to do any means to get it.
They need it for the Death Star, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
They're talking about energy independence and all this stuff. That's a front.
Those are the components.
It's a front, guys. In my personal opinion, it's for the Death Star. They need it for the reactor.
Yep. But they're not telling even the people that are in charge of getting it because it's top secret. Is that what's going on, Admiral?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe there's only certain people that are privy.
That's what
because
I thought.
there's groups within groups within groups.
That's what I'm saying. You can see the little bit like wheeling and dealing on the sides with each other and all that stuff.
It could very well be that the only people that know are Director Krennic, Lord Vader, and the Emperor. Right?
The less people you know, the better.
You tell these people these things.
Yeah.
And you make them think that they're actually doing these things for this.
Exactly.
But we're really doing this.
Exactly. So it's like a little side distraction.
So, and
smoke and mirrors.
The Death Star plans have been evident since Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. There's a scene where you see Dooku with them, where there's that orb he has.
Yeah,
or
that
whatever.
device.
And you see the hologram.
Pops up of it.
And it's also been in Revenge of the Sith. It's been something that's been going on in the universe for a long time.
So it's been floating around.
There's been much foreshadowing. Now the plans are engaged. So what I think is going to end up happening is we're going to end up seeing Galen Erso in a couple of episodes. That's Mad Michelson's character from Rogue One. Okay. So what ends up happening is he is the person that designs and builds the Death Star.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think he's going to have to show up at some point.
You need him to. Yeah. That makes sense.
I think we're going to see Vader and the Emperor probably in the last set of shows.
Episodes. That's what I thought. If you're going to see the big baddie, you want to make him an appearance right near the end.
I was kind of hoping that we would see him in some form. I would like to see, like I said before, I would like to see the Emperor dealing with the Inner Circle. You know, that would be so cool.
Instead of just having him off camera and he's like instructing him to do certain things, and you want a physical appearance.
Yeah, well, we haven't even seen a hologram or anything. There hasn't been anything. He's just there.
He's been mentioned.
He's
so many times, right?
I've met with the Emperor.
The Emperor.
There's been a couple of meetings with, Partagas and with other, politicians.
Higher officials. The higher ups.
He's been inferred, but we haven't seen him, right?
Yeah,
so
it's crazy.
I think it's going to be good.
I hope so, Admiral. The King hopes so, because like I said, it was a lot to take in, maybe a little bit too much than they needed to put, because the average person, like viewer, like me, that might have been a little bit too much, and I hope a lot of people don't tune out, because the King's going to still tune in. It was just like, I don't know, for some reason, it just didn't want to stick in here.
I would recommend giving Rogue One a watch. If you guys are,
teetering,
knowing the show, maybe get an idea of how it ends.
Yeah,
this show's going to end at the beginning of Rogue One.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that right now.
I'm going to rewatch that later on.
So you should take a look at Rogue One. You'll see some familiar faces in Rogue One, like Saw Gerrera. Mm-hmm. Saw Gerrera is Forrest Whitaker's character.
Yes.
He's kind of like a reckless nomad rebel leader, right? He's got his own faction and everything.
I know exactly. He's the guy who's missing the leg.
Yes.
Like he has that. Is it a peg leg or something?
Yeah, he's got a metal leg. Metal peg leg.
Yeah.
He's like a space pirate.
Once I saw him, I go, I know who that is. I don't know his name, but I know exactly who he is.
So many movies.
Tell me about it. If you watch your channel, Admiral.
So many movies.
Man, I was watching Havoc that came out.
Yeah.
And he's in it. He's the father. I'm like,
he's in Bloodsport too.
He's
one of the cops.
I was like, he's in here. He's in everything. But he's such a good actor, and he's a chameleon. He can act in any role.
He's a great actor.
I was happy. That brought a smile to my face when I saw him.
Yeah.
And then when they were the two side by side, and he pulls out his gun and he shoots the guy beside him. He really thought the guy was going to get it,
because the guy was asking him, so when is it going to be? I need to know the sequence.
Yes.
I want to know what sequence to use. I got 8 of them in my head that are driving me nuts.
Yeah.
So that, I think he took it as, okay, you're asking me when it's going to be, and why are you taking that
initiative? What are you
who
up
are you
to?
Gonna tell us?
Exactly.
So Saw Gerrera's paranoid a little bit.
Yeah.
He is crazy. He admitted to it. Saw Gerrera, just a little bit of a background in his character. He's a veteran of the Clone Wars, so he goes back to the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
He was a warrior, a fighter.
Damn. A good one.
Yeah, but he went nuts. He.
Sometimes war does that, Admiral. If anybody knows.
Said I'm in a
He's still saying, don't worry, I don't put no insane people on the channel. Don't worry, guys. The only person who can be insane is this guy.
That beard is insane.
It's getting there. I feel like Santa Claus. It's Christmas time already?
Yeah, mine's whiter though. Everything's white now.
Yeah, but I know mine's like it's all over the place. But anyway,
you're salt and pepper over there. You're like George Clooney over there.
Well, I should be watching Game of Thrones or something.
George Clooney, that's a compliment.
Yes. Yeah. I tell you. But yeah, no, man. Like I said, I could see. You're telling me, hang on, we're gonna see sunrise on the horizon or whatever, with some action, hopefully, because the King doesn't want to fall asleep. Because these episodes are 56 minutes or 55.
They're not short.
No,
man.
They're not like 25, 30 minutes, and you're like, okay, you know what? Whatever. Let's go to the next.
You're losing life here.
Felt like I lost almost 3 hours of my life, for God's sakes. And and you're talking to the guy who binge watched the show 65 episodes in 3 days, and it didn't feel like I lost any days there or sleep.
That's coming up. Folks.
Yes, that's the next video. So if you guys stay tuned for that, me and the Admiral, I'm excited to talk about that one. Like this guy told me, check it out. You better watch it. And then once I watch it, because you'll know exactly.
We're talking about Cobra Kai, just in case you haven't noticed.
I watched The Karate Kid when I was a kid, and I was in the theater, and I'm like, I'm gonna watch some show, a YouTube channel show on Karate Kid, whatever. And then he told me Ralph Macchio's in it, and then once I saw that a lot of the characters that were in the movies in this thing, and they played a big role. It wasn't like a little cameo and they disappeared. No. It was a couple, from members of his old team, Johnny's. But anyways, I don't want to get into that.
Listen, I'll tell you something right now, though.
It was good.
Darth Vader would kill Johnny Lawrence.
There's a couple of times I thought Johnny Lawrence would have bit the big one. And it's like, how do you survive that?
He's a survivor, though.
Hey, that guy's like a cockroach. Yeah. You can step on that guy. He's still. But I'm telling you, wow. We'll get into that next video, guys. But
anyways, we're gonna go into light speed and go back to the Star Wars universe.
Admiral, I want your final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
Is the series good to your part?
It's good. Listen, be patient, guys. I know if you're a new fan out there and you're just getting into Star Wars, watch Rogue One. Maybe when this is all over, give Andor season 1 a rewatch.
Yeah, season 1 I'm loving better than this one. I'm not gonna lie to you.
And then it'll help to maybe turn on the lights a little bit on some of the stuff that's going on here, right?
Yeah.
So that's just it for the Admiral. The Admiral likes it. For me as a fan, I'm enjoying it.
So that's the most important thing, because I think it's for you guys, anyways. Star Wars fans, true Star Wars fans.
It's it's like I said in the last podcast too. It's supposed to be for everyone, Star Wars, and for the fans, for the new fans, it's a tough line to walk, because as fans we have certain expectations, but as we have to make it fun enough and understandable enough for new fans too, right? And that's just it. And final thoughts: Admiral likes it. Do I want the pace to pick up? Absolutely. There was a lot of dialogue.
I hope so.
There was a lot of dialogue that could have been redacted, and they could have put a few more action sequences in there. I would have a little bit more sneaking and espionage going on where things are intense. They could get caught if they do this. There should be more sneaking, a little more mini battles.
That's what I was getting at, Admiral. That's what see. You gave me some thoughts in my brain here. See, you're explaining a lot, but there was no imagery to go with it. It was just this. Couldn't you not explain some of the stuff through stuff that you're visually seeing rather than just by dialogue?
This is just
maybe that's why I got tuned out. It was a little bit too much telling me the details of, someone crossed the street, but you're telling me he took a couple of steps. He did that. You turn here, turn right. You know what I mean? That's what killed the king.
Part of the reason I think that it is the way it is, in my personal opinion, is the Empire has such a tight control on things that nobody wants to step out of line. So you're seeing it's a lot of it's very severe. You're not seeing these rebel uprisings. You're not seeing these things yet. Yeah. Except for on Gorman, obviously. But when you go to Coruscant and all these places, you're just seeing people falling in line. It's orderly. It's very orderly. Nobody wants to piss the Emperor
off. There's no chaos. There's everybody
knows. Everybody knows that the Emperor is a Dark Lord of the Sith. He'll zap you with lightning, and Darth Vader's his right hand man.
And then they're in control pretty much.
They're in control, so they don't want to rock the boat. It's.
It makes sense, Like I said, I think it's going to pick up. I trust you, Admiral. In the Admiral, I trust. Anybody else? No. But you know what? It's not going to make me say, I'm going to bend ship and get off the Titanic before it sinks. None of that. It's just I just hope, less talking, show me more. I'm a visual person. But
I want to see more too.
I just want it to be good. That's all. I don't care. You can have these episodes, whatever, but as long as it picks up and it ends well, I'm happy.
I think sometimes the Admiral tries to find the good in everything, and I'll sometimes go to lengths and try to highlight those good points. It was slow moving in parts too, guys. The rhythm could have been a lot better. I would have had a few more action sequences in there. Like I said, a little bit more sneaking, a little bit more espionage, or high risk situations.
Like what they did in the third episode, Admiral. Yes. If they did it in the first two, I'll be happy.
They need to have something like that in every episode in some way. Maybe have it in a lower tone and in a high tone. There has to be something that's
I'm wondering, Admiral, because of them treating this as a 3-episode story arc, that maybe that's why it feels this way, or that's how I felt.
I think this was to establish the feel of the Empire.
Yeah, a gradual, and then all of a sudden, oh my god, something's gonna happen.
The fan's coming. It's gonna hit the fan soon, guys.
I just can't wait. It looks good. It's okay. I give it a pass. I'm not gonna jump ship. Admiral likes it, and that's the Star Wars fan talking.
I like it.
If he's pleased with it, then it'll be okay. And I trust him that next week's gonna be good.
So far, I like season 1 better.
Yeah, me too.
So far,
I can tell you 100%.
But it's early. We're only halfway through.
Exactly.
So
now they got to get to the serious stuff and stick to what they need to in order to get to the right path where they have to land. I guess at the end of it, stick to the landing. Hopefully,
And guys, listen, it's fantasy, and they're not going to please everybody. It's hard to write this stuff where you're going to please, especially Star Wars, to please the Star Wars universe.
Leave your expectations at the door.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it.
But I think they're doing a good job. It just
no, it's well written. It's just like I said, better than the other Star Wars series we get. So you know what? And I'm watching. I was excited about it. I'm still excited about it. Like I said, King could have had a bad day too. You know, he's been watching everything left, right, and center, and you know all that fun stuff. You go from one kind of type of particular TV series or whatever, and then you go to this. It could affect you a little bit. Maybe the King. That's what hit the King. Who knows? You know.
I don't know.
Down the road, the King will watch everything. Is gonna love it. You know. You can always change your opinion, whether it's in a good way or a bad way as you go down. So, yeah. We liked it. Anything else, Admiral, before we let these lovely people go?
No, I'm good.
You're
guys, thank you for your time here. We appreciate it. We hope you enjoyed this time. Hopefully it was informative for you. Inform your own opinion. Enjoy it. And if you have any questions or anything like that, just fire them in the comments and we'll answer. The Admiral's calling here.
That's the emergency line. That means the King and the Admiral have to get out of here. So until next time, tune in next week again, probably same time. We'll give you an update, and we'll tell you our honest opinions. So enjoy, comment in the comment section, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you during our next video. Take it easy, guys, and stay off the King's throne, and don't bug this guy.
The Admiral almost broke the mirror doing the salute here, guys. Sorry.
It's okay. He's at war. He's prepared for all you guys. Take it easy, guys. We're out of here.
Take care.